Alexandra Eala, what are you going to do next? That is some win.
Oh my God.
Alex, I think everyone here is waiting to hear from you. You looked incredibly locked in throughout that match. You let the racket do the talking, and you managed your emotions so well. Just tell us your first thoughts after that win.
Oh, all the emotions are coming because the tension was so high, especially during that second set. So I'm really happy to have gotten through.
The mainstream tennis media is now engaged in a major intentional cover-up. Additionally, you will fall into their trap if you do not pay sufficient attention to the underlying data. You will be fed a very straightforward, easily assimilated, and wholly made-up story if you wake up tomorrow and read the sports headlines or watch the regular tennis broadcast networks. They will examine the scoreboard. They will see that Jasmine Paolini, the seasoned athlete, the well-known celebrity, and the player with the 6th-ranked rating next to her name, suffered a defeat. They will also claim that she just had a bad day. They will sit there in their fancy suits and tell you that she is experiencing mid-season tiredness, that the court pace wasn't her preference, that the circumstances were challenging, or that she just wasn't able to establish her rhythm. On the forehand side, you should not trust a word of it. Right now, I'm staring at a stat sheet directly from center court that presents an entirely different, frightful, and utterly different picture of the Women's Tennis Association's near future. Whatever you're doing, I urge you to stop. Don't scroll any farther. Put your phone away and focus intently on what just happened on that court. Because it wasn't simply a fortuitous upset that Alexandra Eala pulled off. She didn't just catch a professional athlete dozing off. She just gave a masterclass in math, psychology, and tactics that chopped a top 10 player in half. And she accomplished this while concealing a major weakness in her own strategy that ought to have led to her own demise. You must grasp the enormity of what transpired in the first set if you want to fully get why this particular match is causing such a stir in the locker room at the moment and why coaches of the top 10 players are rushing to go over the tapes. Jasmine Paolini is not a wild card that was unseeded and was fortunate enough to draw. She has earned her place at the top of the tennis food chain as a highly skilled and battle-tested veteran. She is adept at handling pressure. She is skilled at building points and controlling her energy. A player of that quality is unbeatable, 61. That is the cornerstone of this whole breakdown, so let me say it again. When playing the world's 6th-ranked player, you do not win a set 6-1 unless their strategy has gone horribly wrong. That scoring line is completely out of the ordinary. For a high-seeded player, it is, quite simply, a professional humiliation. It indicates that you were rushed off the court before you could even warm up your shoulders, tie your shoes, or figure out what your opponent was doing to you. It indicates that you were subjugated. The underlying statistics, however, conceal the true enigma of this match and the fundamental reason you should not leave this video at this moment, because it makes no mathematical or logical sense at all to examine how Alexa really won this match, winning the first set 6-1 and overcoming a cruel second set to win 7-6 with a 75 tiebreak. Today, Alexiala's game had a deadly defect that was visible and gaping as she stepped into center court. A fault so serious, so statistically catastrophic, that it ensures a quick and humiliating defeat in 99% of professional tennis matches. Nevertheless, she managed to psychologically demolish a top-tier opponent by taking advantage of that same weakness. Listen to that noise for Alexandria. Jasmine, thank you. As kind as ever in loss, Penny remarks. The past champion is no longer there. First, let's examine the delusion. Let's examine the statistics about Jasmine Paolini, because on paper she served very well if you just consider one particular area. I would want to bring her first serve percentage to your notice. 74% of Jasmine Paolini's first serves were successful. In the context of contemporary women's tennis, let's take a moment to consider what it really means. You should have complete, undeniable control over the tennis play if you are hitting the service box with over 3/4 of your first serves. From the first hit, you are setting the tempo. As soon as you put the returner on the defense, they have to hit the ball off balance and rush to regain the middle of the court. The holy grail of consistency in tennis theory is a 74% first serve percentage. It is the benchmark that coaches aspire to. However, here's when Alex Aya's unfathomable tactical boldness and brilliance come into play. Eala entirely disregarded the 74% first serve rate that was coming from the opposite side of the net. Examine Jasmine Paolini's percentage of wins on her first serve. 51%. Give the number some time to register in your mind. 51%. All day long, Jasmine Paolini was hitting her first serve, her main weapon, and her very best shot. When she did, however, she was losing over half the points. It is essentially astounding. How can a professional tennis player lose the point 50% of the time after landing their first serve? Violence is the solution. The reason for this is that Alexa was violently and completely returning the tennis ball. Paolini scored 23 receiving points in this match, while she scored 30. Paolini's initial serve was an illusion, and Alexa saw that during the first several games. It was a shot to get it in. The calories were a waste. It was quite accurate. Eala struck the lines. Although it struck the corners, it lacked any bite at all. The heavy topspin was absent. It did not have the piercing speed. Furthermore, it lacked the overwhelming might required to drive a player like Eala back. What then did Eala do? She didn't back down. She didn't give herself additional time by backing up to the fence. The most scary thing you can do to a server is exactly what she did. She immediately approached the baseline. She probably even entered the baseline. Taking time away from Paolini, she seized the ball unusually early and placed the world's number 6 player on the dead run right away. She used Paolini's greatest statistical advantage, her high first serve percentage, against her. She made it her greatest weakness. I want you to picture the mental anguish of being Jasmine Paolini at that very time. You perform your serve, motion flawlessly, and throw the ball high. The sound of the ball striking your racket's sweet spot is gratifying. The ball lands precisely within the service box, as you can see, and the ball is flying past you for a clean return winner down the line less than a second later. It is very discouraging. Your spirit is broken. You begin to doubt everything. You attempt to strike the ball harder than you usually do, which results in unintentional mistakes and fear. Eala did just that in the first set, which ended with a 6-1 victory. She methodically deprives Penny of her main weapon by striking it directly rather than blocking it back. She is a formidable foe. Being in the top 10 and a previous winner here goes without saying. Therefore, it is a huge accomplishment. For me to be able to compete with her at this level, yes. Let's discuss that second set briefly. You had a few match points at 5-3, but what were you thinking about to end the match in the tiebreak again? Yes, but wait. This is when the narrative really takes a turn for the worst. The reason Alex Eala is a dangerous and frightening possibility for the remainder of the tour is because the television commentators either entirely missed or deliberately omitted this portion of the datasheet. It's time to discuss Eala's weakness. We must discuss her second serve. In this match, I want you to pay particular attention to Alex Eala's second serve victory percent, 38%. Since it seems like a mistake, I'll repeat it again, 38%. It's more than simply a horrible workday. That is a terrible example of a basic tennis swing gone wrong. At the professional level of the Women's Tennis Association, you are effectively serving a volleyball to an executioner if you are only winning 38% of your second serves. Jasmine Paolini was almost certain to score a point when Eala missed her first serve. Paolini was teeing off, controlling the point, and completing it with ease as soon as Eala had to depend on her second serve. Consider Paolini on the opposite side of the internet to get a sense of this. Paolini won an incredible 69% of her own second serve points, even though she was thrashed in the first set. Any professional tennis coach in the world would only notice. One thing if I printed out the same stat sheet, concealed the player names and the final score, and sent it to them. They would see that compared to player B, who won 69% of her second serve points, player A only won 38%. That coach would wager their life savings, their home, and their vehicle on player B winning the match handily, most likely in straight sets. When you are losing points on your second serve, it is almost mathematically impossible to win a straight set match, particularly when you are playing a top 10 player who is ranked 6th in a major event. It's like aggressively hitting yourself in the face every third round while attempting to win a boxing bout with one arm tied behind your back. The rules of tennis gravity are broken. How in the world did Alexei Eala make it through this? In the face of a top-tier opponent fighting for her tournament life, how did she manage to take this match to a tiebreak in the second set and win the tiebreak 7-5 without her terrible second serve wrecking her career? How can a 38% victory percentage be concealed? Ladies and gentlemen, the solution is on the first strike: utter cold-blooded scary cruelty. Eala is not a moron. Her tennis IQ is excellent. She was aware of how badly her second serve was working for her. She was aware that she was effectively giving Paolini a lifeline each time she missed a first serve. She was well aware of her vulnerability. What would a normal young player do in such situation then? When facing the number 6 seed and their second serve breaks down on center court, what does a player without championship DNA do? They get into a panic. They became more taut. It becomes heavy on their arm. In order to avoid hitting the dreaded second serve, players begin to slow down on their initial serve to ensure it gets in. They don't play to lose. Eala, however, took the exact opposite action. She just refused to hit a second serve at all in response to this existential dilemma. On the first throw, she placed all of her chips in the center of the table. Check out her 77% first serve percentage. Nearly 80% of her first serves were hit. For the simple reason that she did not let the second serve to occur, she did not allow Paolini to attack. She didn't just force the first serve in, however. She continued to be aggressive since she won an incredible 73% of those points when she made that first serve, which she did 77% of the time. By being so enormously aggressive, so wildly consistent, and so dominating on the first strike, she concealed her deadly catastrophic defect, preventing Jasmine Paolini from ever having enough opportunities to disclose the poor second serve. Consider the strength of mind needed to carry out that plan. You are aware that you will lose the point if you miss by even an inch. Eala accepted the pressure that every single first serve turns into a high-stakes game of do or die. She flourished in it. Folks, it is more than simply athletic ability. A player may learn how to hit a forehand from you. They can learn footwork from you. They may learn court positioning from you. However, that degree of mental toughness is impossible to teach. That is a young budding talent with tennis IQ on par with a top veteran. She outwitted a veteran mathematician and controlled her own game and shortcomings. Paolini was effectively informed, "Yes, my second serve is garbage today, but it doesn't matter because you are never going to see it." If we examine the mechanics of this upset in more detail, we must also consider the clutch aspect, because who has the finest footwork or the nicest backhand does not determine professional tennis, particularly at this level. The final decision is made in the margins. In the trenches, the decision is made. Breakpoints are determined. Who takes the initiative and who backs off when the score reaches 30-40, the audience becomes quiet, and the strain is so intense that a knife might cut it. Let's examine the figures. Throughout the whole game, Jasmine Paolini, the seasoned veteran who has presumably been there and done that, had 4 breakpoint chances. She made 50% on 2 of them, which isn't bad, but it's hardly championship level. Take a peek at Alex now. Eala produced twice as much. On Paolini's serve, she had 8 breakpoint chances, 4 of which she converted. She knocked on the door relentlessly all the while. She was putting pressure all the time. There was always a deficit when Paolini glanced up. And the overall points won brilliantly reflects this. Paolini scored 57 points in this match while Eala scored 72. That is a difference of +15 points. A plus 15-point margin is significant in a match that included a second set tiebreak. It indicates that this triumph was not fortunate. A lower-ranked player didn't simply get by winning a few close matches and getting fortunate on the net court in this situation. A top seed was being methodically, clinically, and brutally dismantled. Melanouts totally outthought her in the pivotal moments that decided the match, served her on the opening ball, and thoroughly outreturned her from the baseline. I want to highlight one more statistic that demonstrates how strong Eala's momentum was. Examine the most points won in a row. Eala won 8 points in a row at one point during this game. That's 2 full games at Love in quick succession. It is almost impossible to score 8 points in a row while playing against the world's 6th-ranked player. It demands a degree of concentration and shooting skill that renders the opposition immobile. Paolini only managed to win 5 points in a row. Mia's peaks were higher. She struck harder and maintained her pressure for a longer period of time. Ma also won a maximum of 5 games in a row. 5. In the first set, she almost beat Paolini. Losing 5 straight games versus a player with a lesser ranking has a catastrophic psychological impact. You have no answers at all as you turn to face your coach in the box. Dominance is evident even in the service points gained. Despite having a terrible 38% win percentage on the second serve, Eala managed to win 42 points on her own serve. Paolini's serve only yielded 34 points. Paolini won 5 service games while Eala won 8. Eala hit Paolini's 0 with 2 aces, all metrics that suggest hostility. Alexandra Eala is the owner of every measure that suggests removing the racket from the opponent's grasp. Feel that they will return. They may be, I believe. She made 2 mistakes. Paolini scored 4 runs. Eala was more disciplined even when he made blunders. This is not only a match outcome that we are seeing, it is a change in perspective. The formal warning shots have been fired across the WTA's bow. There is no longer any safety in the current hierarchy. A storm is approaching. Thus, the players who are comfortably ranked in the top 10 need to wake up. Eala can defeat the number 6 seed 6-1 in the first set and then display incredible mental toughness to win the second set in a close 7-2. 5-tie break if she can play a match in which her second serve completely and utterly fails her, and she is statistically bleeding points on her second toss. The remainder of the trip is facing a huge, unheard-of challenge. She demonstrated to the tennis community as a whole today that she can defeat the best without playing flawless tennis. It is not necessary for her to have every instrument in, her arsenal functioning flawlessly. All she needs is her aggressive baseline game, her wits, and a complete resolve to give up. She demonstrated her ability to take the greatest statistical weapon of a top player, study it in real time, identify that it is a scam, and utilize it to eliminate them. That is what a future Grand Slam winner will be known for. I want you to keep this data sheet in mind the next time you hear pundits claiming that Jasmine Paolini just had a poor day, or that the wind was blowing in the wrong direction. Remember the 38% second serve, please. I want you to keep in mind that Paolini's first serve has a 51% victory percentage because despite what the media may say, the arithmetic is always correct. I would want to hear your precise thoughts on this masterclass. Is Alex EA finally making the breakthrough we've all been waiting for? Was Jasmine Paolini simply utterly out of sync today? Or is she prepared to make a strong run in a major? Given that EA is aiming after their rankings, how terrified should the top 10 players in the world be at this moment? I can assure you that the conventional sports media is completely unaware of the amazing tactical brilliance that we just experienced today, so please share your ideas, hypotheses, and analyses in the comments section below. You should press the like button immediately to help this video get past the algorithm if you want to see more in-depth, straightforward analytical breakdowns where we really look at the data that matter rather than the nonsense. To ensure you don't miss a single update on Eala's quick ascent, subscribe to the channel, activate those alerts, and I'll see you all in the very next video.